Hey, what's up, guys? We took a break this week between the end of Spaceport and before going into the next arc of the show. So, for this week, enjoy an episode of Vibe Check. We'll be back with a new adventure next week, but for now, just enjoy the boys sitting around talking about what we've done so far and how things have wrapped up. Thanks so much for watching. The support's been incredible. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Hello. Welcome back to Vibe Check. Today I'm joined by, Danny.
Hey.
How you doing?
Fine.
Okay, we're gonna have to do something about it. All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of Vibe Check. I'm joined today by my 3 very handsome guests. If you would like to introduce yourselves, please do so.
Hello, I'm Caleb. Ryan, and you may know me as the Vested Dungeon Master. Hello.
Hello, I'm Danny. I am Valar.
Hey, I'm Charles. I'm Hugh.
And today very, very special episode. It's the finale episode of Spaceport, as well as the Bookend episode that happened right after. And after this episode of Vibe Check, I'll be leaving the interviewer seat. Ryan will be taking my place, and perhaps I'll be on the other side of this thing at some point, but that is to be seen. I just want to say that we're very happy to have all the questions, and if you want your questions answered about the show, go to @SkillCheckDM on Twitter. We are in desperate need of questions. Ask more. We love to answer them, and we love all of you. Let's go into some of our first questions, unless you guys have anything to say. Is everybody feeling all right? It's a happy Friday night.
I'm great, man. I think more than fine is what my answer would be.
More than fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling good. I think I'm like a little stinky, so I apologize to these guys because I've been like just here all day, so I'm a little like greased up.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good.
Yeah? Awesome.
I'm also feeling stinky. Yeah, that's a good.
I'm feeling a little
Yeah.
stinky. Well, first question coming straight off of Twitter.com from Esteban0448, and then there's a billion other numbers. How many more seasons of Skill Check do we have coming down the pipeline? And this also raises the question: is Spaceport a season? Is it an arc? Is season determined by character? What are your guys' thoughts? Because I know what I'm thinking, but I feel like this is a group question.
Well, we're done now, right? Like,
Yeah,
that was
just
it?
all finished. We're tearing down the whole set.
Skill checks over. That was a good fucking run.
Yeah. Fucking awesome.
I think we go until we're done.
Until we meet the Simpsons.
Yeah. I mean, fair.
Yeah, there's no number. Also, a season or an arc, it's the same thing, really.
Mhm.
So you can call it, or a chapter, or something.
Chapter is what I would consider it mentally, but season, arc, whatever. The first one of those, of many, and frankly, I think in the same vein, as many as are fun and we can get away with. And in the case of all the wonderful people here, we know how to have some fun. So I'm thinking,
For as long as they're going to put up with us, Ryan, we're going to run the games. And that's the truth.
True.
I think that another question that's worth asking then is, how long with these characters? I guess there will be some end to the story that Ryan and I might come upon at some point. But after these characters, are we working on like a Skill Check, story too? What's your guys' thoughts on that? Tell me right now if we're booked for 10 more seasons.
I'd say so. And Hugh will be there until he dies. I've got another character in the back burner should that happen.
Always good.
When that happens, I guess.
Having the back burner character is the smartest thing.
Would you play a second? Would take a step back, take a little Hugh break, see him do his own thing?
I've got a totally different character than Hugh that I think would be a fun one to dust off if Hugh ever doesn't make it and sheds the mortal coil.
But he has to die for the swap.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd only do it if he dies.
Okay.
Okay. We'll start loading up the
Interesting.
disintegrate rays as soon as possible.
No, a 25 doesn't beat that DC.
It's so weird. Okay, moving on. Danny, a question for you. As the quiet one in the group and as the last one on Vibe Check, what are your perspectives on the characters of the cast and of the NPCs that you guys have seen? Everyone else has gotten their sort of like beginning or midway point to share their opinion. What's your thoughts now that we're coming to the close on this first chapter?
I think, well, this is my first D&D campaign ever, really. I think I am always blown away, especially obviously by Chase, but like the way that everyone is so good at playing the game and their characters is like crazy to me. I think I got a little lucky, and also I did it kind of on purpose that I don't talk very much because I'm like not really an RPer. I kind of have to like, I'm a little shy. I have to like get into it a little bit.
Right.
So I gave myself a little bit of a back seat. But I mean, Chase and Aaron, literally anytime they open their mouth, crack me up. Like they're both amazing.
It's like they've been doing this for years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah. And Super 7 is something no one will forget.
Oh.
I don't think ever.
We are going to talk about Super 7.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, it's just been great. You guys bring it to life for real.
Any favorite NPCs?
I'm a fan of the King of the Road.
Yeah.
I think that's a cute trope, the ultra powerful like bunny, kind of like Monty Python thing we got going on here.
Very Monty Python.
And he didn't get a bunch of love, but at the start, Bojo was back there, which is my character from a one-shot we did.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, he was right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That's a reveal.
That is
First
a
time
reveal.
reveal on Vibe Check. Yeah, I know, right? Charlie, during the past couple of episodes, in the workshop, during the combat against this shadow antagonist that you guys have run into, you put into place a plan that nearly killed Hugh.
Yeah.
I want your thoughts on the process from start to finish and how it felt dropping so low and not touching the threshold and then having the team in the back. Give me your thoughts on the whole thing.
I like to approach things like really creatively as opposed to just like I make rapier hand and I jab.
Yeah, damage.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be fun to go and just like flip the lights back on like Nosferatu out of SpongeBob.
Oh yeah.
So I thought the plan would be really enjoyable. I underestimated how long it would take to run that far, but I knew I had shield, which is like a panic option that pretty much guarantees I'll live through like combat.
And super clutch.
Yeah.
You used it, everyone at the table was like, whoa, he has that in the back?
I knew it'd come in handy when I hit that level, but I didn't prepare for the giant gale that he tossed my way. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. I just got lucky that I had the saving throw and just enough HP. So it was fate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad the plan worked out well, though. It was very cinematic.
Yeah, the second the lights came back on, it seemed like everything pretty much evened out. So super sick. I think that it's such an instinct for people who play video games to come to D&D and to just say, like, I attack and just have that be every turn.
Yeah.
And doing things that are creative, like going and hitting the lights, is something that is, like, way more core to the D&D experience that I feel like people miss out on a lot these days. So, as a dungeon master, very excellent job. The problem solving was very sick. I wish that my players did that.
Did you ever reveal what your death rolls were?
Yeah, I did. The first one was an 8. The second one was a 14, I think.
Okay, so you were 1-1.
1-1.
Oh, we had plenty of time. We had plenty of time.
You guys had a lot. You had a lot of turns.
Just to reimagine, though, if you natural 1, that's 2 fails.
Yeah.
So, technically, he was one step away.
He would have had it.
At a very low
It's
chance.
fine.
Yeah.
This is Charlie. The universe bends to his will.
That's ridiculous.
Although I do think losing the main character in the first arc would have been hilarious.
That would have been fine.
That would have been
so
like such a
sick.
good on par start to our campaign.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ryan, we have a question that I saw that piqued my interest, and you guys are new to D&D, and also you're known on the internet, but Ryan and I are pretty unique in that we've been playing D&D for a very long time, and we're pretty fresh to the space. Ryan, people want to know how you got started with D&D, just generally,
Oh God.
and DMing.
It was an accident. A good friend of mine had basically like learned this Dungeon or Dragon thing back when it was like 3.5, and we played once loosely. We were much younger, a decade and a half maybe ago, and that was back when you'd get in mom's minivan and she'd fucking Sherpa you to hang out with the friends in a dark room, and whoever was supposed to DM that day didn't show up. So mom had Sherpa'd us all in her minivan. We all had fun, dedicated friend time, and there was no game. And so everyone just kind of sitting there being like, I was like, I'll try. And I was like, give me some time. So I came up with this murder mystery. Awesome. Loved it. And I planned a bunch of red herrings and stuff. And we sat down after, and I was like, guys, please be gentle. Like, we're all new. And they took a look at my adventure and said, cool, and they walked the other direction. And since that day, it has been nonstop, just dealing with the haymakers as they come. But I find that it makes the most fun game, and it seems like these guys enjoy that as well. So
Yeah.
that is kind of where it started, and it has continued since.
The walk in the opposite direction is just the absolute classic.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited whenever you guys do that, especially during Spaceport. It was awesome because I'd see them.
It's a little harder in Spaceport in that you guys were new and shy, and you were in basically a sandbox that I had the walls to. So if you had like gone a little further with the spaceship, it probably would have been harder. But no, not really. I think, especially in the beginning, your characters, you guys were still stepping into them, like feeling things out. I haven't felt entirely disarmed by you guys, but definitely I will say you have surprised me in your choices, all 7 of you.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest difference is that in a more like, I guess, time-tested D&D game, the turn around and walk away is very literal. With you guys, it's more like you're talking to an NPC, and then you just say something that is like totally outside the realm of anything that Ryan or I prepared for. And sitting on the sidelines, I was like, this is going to be fucking hilarious.
I do have one good example. When we were sitting down to discuss Lorenz and Didi, the 2 character concepts that you guys were going to take home as a quartermaster, I would have put all of my money on Lorenz. And when we got to the point where you guys had met Lorenz, the crazy goblin tattoo, magic, university things, you guys were all 7, just hands down.
In the DD train.
Shut up, Lorenz. We're taking DD and moving forward. And in that moment, I was like, yeah, this is probably the likely choice, but I would never have expected you guys to get there, who you are.
I think, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for the rest of the party. I think your acting of Lorenz like turned a lot of us off because you were making me anxious with how fast you were talking, and I was like, I can't deal with this for more than like
on a regular basis.
Yeah, for multiple times. So,
yeah, no.
but that's just me. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
Didi,
Yeah, we had. I think had we
she
gone,
adopted one of you.
Yeah, had we chosen to go after Lorenz first, maybe, but it seemed a lot like Didi was kind of the centerpiece of what we had been doing for 2 episodes, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So she definitely had more impact on us.
I'm glad you said that about the acting. I think she was one of the only unlikable NPCs in all of Spaceport. Even the bad guys you were laughing at, like the guy that Zatcha killed in the alley. Everyone was like laughing at him and having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Yeah, Lorenz was definitely someone who was like
not
very
supposed to be.
Very harsh. Yeah. And it's funny that I thought that half of you were gonna be like, we gotta take her. This person's crazy. Moving on. What are all of your guys' thoughts on Gil Roth Rolodex? He finally showed up, and you talked to him, and, you know, after the assault on the moon with my sort of mini cutscene in the Bookend episode, what are your guys' like thoughts on his sort of story wrap? And I guess the story wrap on Spaceport generally.
You want to start?
Yeah, Gil Roth Rolodex was my character from like our test campaign, so it was really cool to see him piloted by someone else now. So I thought that was very fun, but that's more of a personal thing since that was my boy.
Right.
I think it was a really satisfying conclusion. I really liked it. Ending in a spaceship battle is really always very cute and very Star Fox-esque. So I thought it was nice. I guess I'm excited to see if Gil Roth comes back in some capacity somehow.
What about you guys?
That's what I would have said. I would have liked to see him in action, but something tells me we will see him in action at some point. And so I'm like, he seems like he and Lorenz, other than her, like, you know, being anxiety-inducing, like we like the first big pillars of like of characters that have importance outside of like the place we're standing.
They really felt like integrated and living in their space.
Yeah. So that was cool, and it being, you know, Charlie's character is always just like a little inside chuckle for us.
Yeah.
You know, as we're playing.
Closed chapter can always be reopened, and should.
I think so, 100%. Charlie, how do you feel about Zatchet through this entire thing? Because we caught you in the first, I think, 2 episodes in the first episode of Vibe Check, and Zatchet was kind of just an idea, but now it's like a full story, and he's in the lobby. So what are your thoughts on him and like where he's gonna end up? I want to know, and Hugh's feelings on him as well.
I'm just happy to see he's still alive. I thought we'd lose him at some point. No one really seems to like him. Not even Hugh, really, but Hugh keeps him around. He's like a little project. He's like a ball of clay that I sculpt, and I think that's fun. So I guess we'll see how he fares in the lobby. I wanted to injure him and then send him into the lobby since he apparently lives in that state that he enters. I thought it'd be fun to give him like a disadvantage.
Like dislocate his shoulder and then push him in.
Exactly, like break his arm or something and then just throw him in there.
It's not too late.
That's true. I could get him out, break his arm, and put him back.
Yeah, look. Here's the plan. Because Chelsea wasn't there during the session, you beg her to do free time with you in the museum. Then, during the free time, you go to the lobby, pull him out, break his leg, push him back in, done. It's
Perfect,
over.
Yeah. It doesn't further anything, but it's still just fun because I like Zatchet getting hurt.
Yeah. He's like a stuffy doll.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's very durable.
Look.
Very durable. I don't know how that keeps happening, but he's hanging on.
Mostly because you keep healing him when he was about to die.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Shark ended up healing him. I think, you know, he's bad at RP, but Matt, Matt inserted himself. Sorry, I'm kidding. Into that moment to save Zatchet. But I think I would have been happy if he had just died there.
It would have been a really fitting end.
Yeah, he served his purpose.
His body just exploded into atoms. Yeah, very, very true. Danny, I think that the subject of Valar as a concept when you built him, you know, everyone else has kind of come in here way earlier again. When you were building Valar as a character concept, what was like some inspiration or just ideas that you had? And then also with Maximo, because he's pretty unique compared to the rest of the cast.
So, I don't want to give away too much when talking about Valar.
Yes, good idea.
So it's hard for me to say a lot, but honestly, a lot of Valar was just like stuff that I find cosmetically appealing. Just like, you know, big armor paladin, like holy power is just cool to me. So that's kind of where he came from. Trying to remember, I was probably playing something at the time that gave me inspiration. I'm gonna guess it was like Diablo, because the new, I think D4 had just come out. So that probably had something to do with it. And Maximo was, I'm not really sure. I kind of like how he mirrors Valar in that they both communicate without like, he doesn't have a face. He doesn't have like, it's all in like in his actions and in his like his just kind of aura that he's giving out at any particular time. So yeah, I hope that answered that.
Yeah, very, very perfect. Ryan, please tell us more about Spaceport, why you wanted to go there first, and anything else about it that you want to divulge if you wish.
There's something about this campaign, Skill Check, in particular, that we are all trying to capture, and it is Saturday morning action cartoons. And there is just such a fun vibe to those where you see the same cool characters, they do their move, they beat the bad guy usually, and there's an etiquette to that, right? Starting in a ridiculous off-kilter setting gives us a chance to define those rules in a way that's not typical. And I think these guys did a fantastic job of it, especially in the way that most of them use their like one-off abilities in a new space and new ways and just kind of push the boundaries and see. And Spaceport itself was supposed to be a pretty durable sandbox for them to just throw fire bombs at the wall until something caught. And I love that for them. At the same time, that was something that we tested in like my original tryout one-shot game, and everybody loved it. So as far as like a stepping off point, it just made sense. Like, how do you beat blasters in space?
Yeah, very, very true. What about you guys with Spaceport? Is there anything about it that you like wish you could have done, or anything that sticks out in your mind that you like really appreciate about the setting?
I would say, having played Spaceport in our one-shot, going forward, one thing I know I will be sad about for everywhere we go is like, because we're trying to keep our arcs like in a reasonable amount of time, so we're not going to be doing as much exploring as most D&D parties probably do. But like when we played, there was just an all-out brawl, King of the Hill style room that we went in, and it makes me sad that we won't be able to go and explore all those kind of places in our campaigns, most likely. But it makes me sad because Spaceport is cool.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, that's what it is. It's cool.
Hey, if the plans change, if you guys are trying to ship for a longer per arc thing, plans can change.
Yeah.
We'll see how things go. It's all a work in progress. What about you? Anything about Spaceport?
I do miss that element of going, like what Danny's referring to. It was a big fight that took place on like a giant ship anchor, which was really cool. So seeing like really unique things like that, as opposed to going from like important location to important location, I think is something I miss. But it also keeps the pacing like tight.
Yeah.
So it's not like a bad thing or anything. But those kind of moments are cool.
There's like, I feel like people have an idea of D&D where it has to be one way or another. It has to either be totally open world or like totally kind of like a movie where it's like plot points are supposed to happen. And I like the idea that as we progress, we can try different things and we don't have to worry about like, oh man, we did really bad and it's gonna mean that the show can't happen. I think it's gonna be fun trying a bunch of different stuff like that. Moving forward, Super 7. Tell us how you guys feel about him and any future changes to 7 that you guys are either anticipating or that you're searching for. Some N64 cartridge you could plug into him to change him up.
Yeah, I think like Chase, that plays to like one of Chase's strong suits. Chase is always really good at like a one-liner. So him being a superhero where he gets to flex that ability is always really appreciated. So I think anything that can make his personality shift drastically is something that's going to be very exciting. So hopefully we can find more opportunities like that.
Yeah, Chase is one of those people that's just like good at everything, and completely unsurprising to see him be able to turn on a dime and make like perfect character. I mean, he absolutely nailed that. And as far as I'm aware, there was no pre-planning to that.
No.
I mean,
You cannot plan shit like that.
It was so good. So now that we know that Chase has this in him, I'm sure that we will be searching high and low for ways to make him do more things like that.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit with that kind of Nintendo cartridge vibe, which is really good. But when I said you have to delete your personality matrix, I was like, there's no fucking way you would ever agree to this. There's no universe.
You saw the wheels turning.
Yeah, and he thought about it and said yes. And I was like, oh, God, what have I done?
Yeah. I think it's so funny that you were like, you're a superhero now. And he started as a superhero and then slid into Ash Williams from Evil Dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so sick.
Which is still superhero in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
but it was awesome seeing like the progression of the new character that he was playing all of a sudden was so sick. So sick. Next up, we have a question from Twitter at @TheManDeman. Do you guys have an art hashtag? So we put some time into thinking about this. Are we settling on just hashtag skill check for everything, for discussion, for being upset, for art, for animation, anything? Hashtag skill check. I think that's where we're sticking with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy
I think
enough.
that works.
Yeah, for sure.
We have all these other names for our socials and stuff, but I feel like the shorter the better and the simpler. And I think that we're fighting the web space with like soccer or football, I suppose. But we're gonna win.
That's what I would say too.
Yeah, we're skill check. That's what we're gonna do. Moving to another question, Charlie. How did you feel about the differences between DD and Lorenz? I know that we kind of covered this, but I feel like everyone had sort of an attachment to DD, and Hugh was a little bit sort of protracted from that. If that's the right word. And the comparison between like Lorenz's pure, like just high energy processing. Did you feel the same way of like way too anxious to bring on, or were you kind of thinking like maybe this could work?
Hugh kind of approaches most things with indifference. Like, he's got his own goals with the artifacts, and everything else is just kind of a stepping stone there. So personally, either one would have been fine by me. I had a feeling DD would appease most of the party, so obviously that'd be the easiest one. But if it was
same to him.
If it was Lorenz, yeah, it'd be all the same to Hugh. It wouldn't really matter.
Gotcha. And then, is there anything specific about Valar's thoughts on the two of them, or not really? Just back to what you said about Lorenz.
No, Lorenz definitely would have talked way too much for Valar, so that, yeah.
There would have been no conversation ever between the two of them. Danny, Valar seems like a particular point of interest within the story, being as he's an extra adventurer or junior curator in the museum. What are your thoughts on like his placement in the party and in the adventure?
You know, he's like an outsider in the weakest sense of the term. Like, he is part of the party, and the party has absorbed him as one of their own. But in both the museum and in the party and in now his home world, he is the outsider. So that's kind of at the moment where he's kind of floating.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts on like anything about that?
Well, my thoughts are I've chosen a hard way to play the game. In that I have to find moments that I feel are important enough to speak, and I have to be okay with the decisions that my party has made, because I don't want to be a forceful voice or
like you don't want to push anything.
Yeah, I don't want to guide that heavily.
How could you not be okay with all the good decisions?
Yeah, well, okay, and so I'm a paladin, which are typically tend to be, you know, forces of good. And
put yourself into a bit of a pickle.
I'm not following. He literally convinced everyone he was fighting for a righteous cause multiple episodes in a row.
Yeah, I was definitely there for that one too. And yeah, so Hugh being the leader of difficulty for Valar in that, he can't worry about good and evil because
he has a lot of personal things to go through.
Yeah, because then I would be fighting my party at every turn.
Yeah. It'll be easier to work that in later and once everyone has more of a vibe of each other.
Yeah, I agree.
On the last vibe check, I had a question for the amazing people that were sitting on the couch that you're on now, and it was about your guys' prospective team name going forward, like a party name. And it seems that most people in the comments, or like 3 or 4 maybe, have picked up that maybe the Eracists is going to be
We cannot
like
go with
erasing racism. How do you guys feel about the Eracists?
That doesn't sound very.
We are already walking a line of sorts when we're making these jokes in the game. To then like title ourselves that is probably not the direction we want to go.
It's only good, I think.
I think maybe we should lean into calling ourselves the Super 7.
Or just the racists.
Yeah, or just the racists. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Ryan, how do you feel about the team name that they're thinking of?
It's almost like I suggested that in jest so they would hurry up and pick a name that's not the Eracists. So until you guys come up with one, which Super 7 is good.
Super 7's cute.
Very good.
I'm going to call you that.
Now you really have a clock
Yep.
to avoid the E-racists. Going back to Charlie, something that you had the unique experience of sitting on this couch for the second time is that we have 2 time periods that we can ask you questions about. And something that I want to take advantage of is when you first made Hugh, we talked about your image for him in your head. And now that it's been, almost 2 real life months of playing as Hugh, how do you feel he's changed? Does he still fit like the idea that you had for him when you started? How do you feel about that?
I feel like he hasn't changed at all, really. I think the only thing that might have changed a little bit is that he's warmer to the people around him than initially I would have thought he'd be. Yeah. Maybe that's just me getting too comfortable with everyone around because I feel like he should still be indifferent.
It'd be hard to not do do that with the group of people we have at the table. Like, it's really hard to not let your like warmth of friendship lead into it.
Like, you guys are actually friends.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be standoffish to your group of friends, right?
Yeah.
And also with Shark making such a great duo to Hugh.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna say no to that?
Well, he's great. Yeah. I just meant like in general. I feel like Hugh should probably be a little bit more indifferent and more violence focused, like I had envisioned. But it's not like we've had like a ton of opportunity for me to do that either. So I'd say he's still pretty much in the same spot.
Do you think that going forward he's likely to change in either direction, like fitting more towards the indifference and like single-minded goals, or like maybe shift more into a more like group-oriented direction? Or are you okay to just leave that up to the whims of the universe?
Yeah, up to the whims of the universe. Not something I've really thought about yet. I don't think he's leaning one way or the other at the moment.
All right, very good. How about you with Valar? Do you think that he's still fulfilling the role that you made him for?
Yeah, to the best of his ability. I think it's hard, especially when I was creating Valar. I had like, I don't know the word for it, but like in my brain, I'm always thinking like probably what we'll be like at level 15 or something. Like, oh, these big, massive things happening, and like through this first campaign, it's like I've been saying, I've been struggling to find times to like speak up. There haven't been many times where I'm like, oh, this feels like an important moment. It's always like we're here, and then all of a sudden like Hugh's almost dead, and I'm like, well, I kind of probably missed the chance to like have that impactful moment or something. Because I think in my head I'm a little bit like too grandiose.
You have too like perfect an image in your
Yeah. But I think Valar is keeping on. He's starting to open up, in our little filler episode.
Dude, we got words.
We got a couple words. But yeah, I think he's probably right where I envisioned him being.
Very good, very good.
Can Valar fly?
Well, yes, as a not like all the time, but as an Aasimar, I have is it a form? Is it like I don't know what you'd call it.
Yours is a little special, but yeah, you like take on a form.
So for like a set amount of time, I can have like priestly wings, like angelic wings, and I can fly.
So why
Wings
not
just like how the priests have.
Yeah.
Why not just fly when we're falling into Dino Rodeo?
I was thinking about it, but this is from being a brand new D&D player as well. I am not like, I'm always like, I need to hold on to this for the moment. And so I have never used it.
Because there's always going to be a better moment to use it.
And
like falling out of the sky.
Yeah. Not a good enough reason.
That's one of those things where I'm like, we'll figure it out. And I want to save this for like my big, like, everyone's like, oh no, we're fucked. Like, what are we gonna do? And then I'm like,
I can fly.
I can fucking fly, and I'll like, go save somebody. But like again, that hasn't really happened yet. I was planning on using it to escape the space constructs after we had lost our boards, but since we were in space and everything was in the thousands of feet instead of feet, I was like, I wouldn't even actually move. So yeah,
like running on
unfortunately, it'll happen one of these times.
All right. This is going to be the most open question probably. What do you guys think about the sort of jazzy antagonist that you guys have been bumping into, at least near the end of Spaceport? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's got to be some kind of like interdimensional being kind of thing that's traveling the multiverse to grab those artifacts for some reason. I think it's cool. I'd like to see more of it. I would have liked to interrogate it instead of immediately disintegrate it. Shark could have maybe said, you can't handle the truth to the little fucking guy, and he's just like,
oh, that's fair. Yeah.
But he's dead now, so it's probably like a good thing.
Yeah, there's some open-ended stuff. Unless I am blanking on memory, I think there's a shadow that we didn't kill, as well as like the main shadow. So Shark Shadow's out there and Big Shadow's out there, and so the Jazzy Bartender guy, I have a little bit of a different connection to, but I'm also a little bit like inherently mistrusting. So whenever we're like in the museum, I'm always looking for like, I'm kind of half expecting the Curators to be like bad guys, and I'm like kind of always watching out for that kind of thing. So that's where like my connection has been made with the Jazzy Bartender guy.
Ryan, any ideas? Any thoughts to give?
Ideas, yes. Thoughts to give, no.
Fantastic. Exactly perfect. This is the best thing for me to just bully Ryan on camera and be like, do you have anything to say? Charlie, how do you feel about the mention of UFRs, not just by Gil Roth in Spaceport, but when Hemp was searching the library for things about your father, having the whole section of like errata material? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I had a feeling. I knew from the get-go Dad would be some kind of like really important figure for these kind of things. So I wasn't surprised to learn that there's nothing to learn about him in any official records.
At least not in the first book you pulled.
True. I imagine that whatever these artifacts do or are, like their existence itself is like a super well kept secret, and because of like how big they are and their implications. So I wasn't surprised, and I know Dad's out there being some kind of rat bastard.
Looking for him. Gonna get him. Another thing that people ask about all the time, they're begging for answers. People are so confused because when we did the announcement, it was all animated, and now we're doing D&D. Is there any ideas moving forward for doing animation for the show? Not like a full-length, Legends of Vox Machina type shit, but like maybe once per arc they like find something special, or like, do you have any plans for animation moving forward?
I want to, yeah. That's what I said to Matt. I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, animation is expensive, and it takes a long time. So I think the one we have is incredible, and
very much agree.
Yeah, and we all love animations, so I'm sure there will be in the future. How frequently, though, is just kind of...
Yeah, it just depends on cost and time.
Yep. In the meantime, it's up to you, audience. Make the animatics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make the moments that you love.
Some of the art we've seen so far has been really
Dude,
cool.
the two arts by that one person,
Yeah.
they're so sick.
Yeah, they're really cool.
The painting and whatever that they just do offhandedly, amazing.
Yeah. Popping out of the guy that looks just like Ryan. So good.
Thank you for that.
So good. I'm not out of questions. I flipped to an empty page and I was like, oh gosh. How did you guys feel about the Bookend episode? With Spaceport, you guys have been pretty high action for a long while, and Bookend was like a real, I wouldn't say like a downturn, but more of like a chill out, like let's get down to some like information stuff. And how did you feel about synergy, both as a system, but also like as a concept for your guys' characters? How do you feel about the two things?
I always like mechanics. Like, the more mechanics you can add to something, the better, to add more depth. So the synergy system sounds cool. I'm excited to see it like actually utilized in combat, or even outside of combat, I guess, because not all of them are combat related, I don't think. So I thought that was nice. I don't mind having no combat, because I think building a story is more important anyway.
Yeah, I actually think it was really, really good. I think as relatively new D&D players for most of us, the RP and the inter-character whatever is tends to lack a little bit, especially in our big like fight moments. So this was a good way for us to learn how to do that with each other a little better, and we all definitely got a lot more comfortable during it, and get to explore like the characters a bit more, which is always fun.
And Ryan, as first time sitting on the sidelines, how did you feel about the Bookend episode?
I loved it, except for there were some really funny moments where it was very hard to shut up. Where when you guys were talking, I just was actually in tears, like gasping for air, and I was like, I'll pass out before I ruin this moment. But you guys nail it all the time, and I think it's hard for you to see in the moment when Shark's like coming to you and like trying to bare his soul a little bit because he's a big teddy bear from hell, and you're like, I don't care. And it's like, it's the funniest shit, but it's also exactly, I think, how it would go, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think you guys are nailing it, is what I wanted to say.
I super agree, and I think that something that people don't see a lot in D&D media, it's crazy that D&D media is a thing, first of all, but something that people don't see a lot is people like learning how to do in-character stuff.
Yeah. Like,
usually people who do D&D shows are extremely practiced and just turn what they've already been doing into a show. It's awesome seeing I'm not used to doing this, so I'm going to push the boundary. And I think that the comparison from this bookend to like the last bookend is going to be such a world of difference. I'm so excited to see how they compare to each other. And then thoughts on the synergy system I already asked. Thoughts on the Curators. You've spent a bit more time with each of them. Now a lot of time with the one that I play. Do you have any extra thoughts, or are you more sus of them, less sus of them? I'm curious what your thoughts on the Curators are.
I definitely less, because now we got answers. When we first arrived, no one asked any questions at all, and just
which is amazing.
That was brand new D&Ders not knowing what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
So now we've got some ideas on the overarching world that we're inhabiting now, which is nice.
I think it's really cool. The whole like cosmic museum thing is just like super cool, but it also like I don't envy you two in the tightrope you guys have to walk with like we're the museum, but we're not the museum, and what are like all those like actual existential questions like you now just have to like come up with like while we're playing.
That's fun for us.
I know,
Yeah.
but like
We like that.
Yeah.
It's like the whole reason we do it. My whole first home game was a lot about stuff like that, so I'm playing in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
This is sick.
No, I think it's very cool. Sorry, excuse me.
How?
There's no excuse.
How could you?
I'm sorry. I am still sus though. Because like
I want that as a sound clip.
a museum popping out and like there's a lot of like why were we the chosen ones, and that just gets me kind of like there's something.
Ryan, I have a question for you. You and I have been working as co-DMs for this project for quite a while, and that's not something that's usual. I wanted to ask you how it's been for you, because not many D&D games, especially even home ones, are run with 2 people. And I don't just want you to say, Drew, you're great, you're amazing, because I already know that. I'm more wondering how like your personal DM workflow is different now that there's 2 people in the chair.
Now that you have me hostage on camera.
Yes,
you mean?
100%.
Okay, got it.
Well, also for other people who might be DMing
I
want to
understand.
know.
Caleb said something that I find to be very true. His Minecraft analogy of you decorate the house that I build. I really like that. But it is actually a lot more than that, which is that there very quickly I realized that you run my number one criteria for a game is fun. These guys, I want to make sure they have fun. When they're playing with you, they have fun. That's great. So from there was already like a respect, and then once we started working together, I realized like we do a lot of similar stuff, but a lot of very different stuff. And at the end of the day, I know we'll get to the same place, which is a fun D&D game. It'll look different. So when I'm working and I feel myself like in an area that's hard for me, or like I'm decorating the house, like at the end of building it, it's so much easier to be like, okay, instead of going to Google, Reddit, and this thing, I'm just going to text Drew and say, Drew, I have a really stupid question. What do you think about this? And then you with like 1 degree of just like, have you thought about this? It changes the whole game. And that's just the nature of having a good team and people. And it's why I like playing D&D with you guys, because when I give you a little story, you apply your little twist, and it's 9 times better in a moment.
That analogy of like, he comes to me, or in reverse, I go to him for like one thing, and just instantly it changes the whole thing. It's exactly how it is with you guys. Yep. When we're making stuff, and then you guys put your hands on it, it's like, this whole thing is transformed in front of our very eyes.
It gives it life.
Yeah, it just gives it loads of life. So very, very awesome. Thoughts on Dino Rodeo going forward? Any expectations? Anything?
Feels like we dropped into Attack of the Clones at the end.
Yeah?
Yeah. Which is cool. I'm excited.
Dinosaurs are cool.
Dinosaurs are cool, yeah, very much so.
I know what's beneath the scaly surface. I'm excited to get there. But in the meantime, how do you not like wrestling dinosaurs, dude?
Yeah, right? Doing some dino wrestling. Last question. Ryan, do you have any advice for these 2 goofballs and anything that they should be looking out for doing going forward?
I don't want to influence this story, but I think the only advice I have is have fun. You guys are killing it, truly.
You were supposed to say try really hard and ruin
Yeah, that
everything.
was pretty lame advice.
Destroy
I
Drew's
already
plans.
have fun, Ryan.
You have to follow the rules when he's DMing. I'm sorry.
I can't wait to see the comparisons between us. Anyway, I think that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching Vibe Check episode 3, and keep watching Skill Check. We got more stuff to come, and it's just gonna get better and better, baby. Alrighty,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
thank you for watching.